Now our next design was sent in by Marsha, and Marsha had been asked to do a logo, and when she saw the logo thought it was perfect for a loose density fill. However, it isn't very big. It's 85.6 millimeters. What's that in inches? It's about 3, I don't know, lengths. Okay, from millimeters to inches. There we go. 85.6, yeah, 3 1/3 inches long, and it's about 2 inches tall. 56.1, 2.2 inches tall. So you can see it's not a big thing. But Marsha has understood. You look at this and it looks pale blue. We all know the sky is pale blue, except it's not. It's got masses of colour in it. But Marsha has used a light purple, a dusky pink, and then a layer of blue to get the colour of the sky. Then she has used a weave fill, I think it's pattern 9, which gives her a chunky looking cloud. So it's got a bit of body to it. I have a feeling this was done in graphic software, the actual logo, because it's got lens flare in it. There it is. That's a lens flare. That's a lens flare, that's a lens flare, and there's a lens flare down here. And they spend ages, and it's quite a long, complicated business putting a lens flare in. And Marsha's put them in. When I look at Marsha's stitch out, one thing disturbed me in Marsha, and that this was very choppy. And it's because of that fill number 9. It's got a very, very strong bias rib. So let's just go and identify the blue. There it is, and there's that bias rib. And the angle has made that rib very pronounced. Okay, let's tell that stop. And she's used the same fill and the same angle for the second colour, which is the dark blue and the light blue. But for all that, it makes a nice, interesting logo. But had you used a plain weave fill, Marsha, you would have got the bleed through from the dark blue and the pale blue. And if you'd used a fill of, say, 1, 2, anything up to 5, it would have given you the same flat, still water look that you've got here. Looking at some of the others, and because I hadn't said to anybody how you could make clouds, what order you should put the colours in, because I was hoping you would do your colour squares and stitch them out, and you would have seen when you use white on top of another colour as a loose density, it really shows up. Now this was done by Lee Carasoli, And if you've read the articles in the links area of the group homepage, you'll see there's one on there about blending colours, and it's written by Lee Carasoli. And this is her apple, and it's used as the selling point for her digitising lessons. They're not cheap. If your computer crashes, or as mine did, blows up, you're stuffed, you can't watch them, because they embed the encryption key directly into your system registry, which I think is dead annoying because you have to pay money to buy them. But it's to stop people making copies and selling them on. But this design you can buy, and you can go through it and you can see how it's created. And it's got quite a nice highlighted area here. And if I blow that up, where white is wanted, only white is used. That's the strongest highlight. The next strongest highlight is an area of beige and white. There's no other colour under that. It's just plain beige and white. If I click on that, take this out of that, there's no attempt to put white on top of these colours. And that's because Lee Carasoli knows white is not a strong colour. It won't cover dark colours. So she works up to the fringes of where she wants her strongest highlight. She doesn't try laying in a solid colour and then going over a strong colour with white. And as far as I remember, I can't go into objects, this isn't a jam file. The density is very loose. I think it's about 1.2. And there's never more than 3 layers of density in any one spot. And in lots of spots, there's only 1 layer. That's a 1 layer down there. So if you're going to make clouds, put your colours in around the fringes, lay the white over that, but where you haven't put the fringe colour in, you'll get the strongest area of white, and then it will be weakened, because it's weakened by the colours underneath it. Just as you can see here, the white comes all the way out to here, but it's only white up here where there's no other colours used. Okay, so let's close that. Right, Marsha, I quite like this, sweetheart. It is a bit small. I can't really do a maybe had you tried so and so, because there's not enough. Except to say, I think you would have done better with a fill angle of maybe 0, anything up to 5, and chosen weave fill 2, because it gives you a nice flat effect. You've got a nice effect with your grasses. That would have been enough, and with your green in the background for added interest for the eye. But this looks a wee bit like blue and white corn being blown across a field. It doesn't actually look like water. The sky is brilliant. Your clouds have worked. I like your sun. Your sun's the circles, unless you knew a little bit about cameras and photography, you wouldn't have known that they were lens flares. Let's just blow this up. You see? And there was probably another one in here. If I very quickly go to Google, Photographers used to spend hours taking them out, and now with computer-aided design they spend hours putting them in. Does make you wonder, doesn't it? Lens flare. Would have helped if I'd put the right word in. Lens flare, thank you. Images. So, there's a lens flare. Those are lens flares. This is lens flare. That's a lens flare. So are these. So is this. That, these. You see? And as I say, people spend, or photographers would spend hours getting rid of them, and now you've got computer programs where the programmer spends hours putting them in because suddenly they've become fashionable. But the one thing they all share is they are opaque. Translucent rather than not opaque. The actual light in the middle is opaque, but these then are translucent. And you can see they're barely visible here. So, right. Yeah, okay, I know you clean up my internet for me. I don't need the message flashed up. Marsha, I'd love to see a bigger design done with a loose density fill, and bearing in mind some of the things that I've said in the other videos, using resources to help create effects. Right, I'm going to finish this one here. It's getting a wee bit late and my eyes now are getting very tired. So I'm going to say I'll see you in the next video. It's a nice job, Marsha, well done. And I remember you wrote in your email that the people that you did it for were delighted with it, and I'm pleased to hear that.